Hey guys, welcome to Nico Play. This is another episode of Love, Rock and Roll, and Money. And right now we're playing as Nico Kunbi. He went to the station to meet Ichinoza-san to find the truth about his parents and about, his dangerous situation. Okay, let's go. If not, then all the better. But I had reason to believe that my plan had worked. At least at this stage. I boarded the train and looked out onto the platform. All I could see were tired Japanese on the way back home after a hard day of work. Wait, it's during the midnight. So Japanese people work from 8 a.m. till midnight? I don't know. Yeah, he doesn't know either. Probably. He knows nothing. The Tokyo Superb welcomed me coldly with a chilly ocean breeze. I was in a shopping district near a airport. It was already late, so most of the stores were closed. Why did Ichinoza choose this place, I wondered. The bridge in question was visible in the darkness a couple hundred meters away from the station. I reached the place in a few minutes, but at first glance it appeared to be empty. Oh my god, that's such a nice one. It's such a nice one. It's like a teacher and no, it's sorry, it's not like teacher. It's like a fucking I don't know, that picture is weird. Just go on Pornhub and Google young boy, old guy. Like, just Google it. Just Google. Sorry, just forget about what I said. I heard the familiar voice and Ichinoza-san appeared out of the shadows. Were you followed? No. Are you sure? Are you sure, boy, you're not followed? Like, I have a very nice thingy to show you between my legs. He looked pretty calm, which seems strange to me. Of course, he's ready to have fun with you. Yes, absolutely. Good. I'm sorry, Nikolai, I'm sorry. What for? I asked with surprise. For my cowardice, for getting cold feet. See what's come out of it? He smiled sadly and immediately continued. As they say, first they came for the communists. Why? Why communists? Nobody give a shit about communists already. Especially in 1987 and 1988 when there was like perestroika, when there was like, rebuilding the Soviet Union. There was like no more communism. Almost. What are you talking about? Who is communist? I don't know. Who are they? I thought that if I kept silent, it would leave me alone, but things turned out very differently. Ichinoza let out a heavy sigh and lit up a cigarette. Oh, give me a cigarette too. Nikolai likes to smoke too. Thank God I was long prepared for it. I called your house and your wife said you've been missing for several days. Yes, that's true. Our phone is wiretapped and I'm in hiding. My wife informed me that someone had called and I sent a courier with a note. But how did you know it was me? Call display, heard of it? A caller display. I mean, but you can also fake it, color display. If you can wiretap the phone, then you can fucking fake the color display. No, to be honest, I didn't even know where to start asking questions. It had to happen sooner or later. After we had been kicked out of the project, it was inevitable. The project? The project is what your father and I worked at the Kabayashi Corporation. What is this then? He raised his tired eyes to me. I can explain it in brief, and you wouldn't understand. I'll do my best. After all, my parents died because of this project. I responded confidently. I'd be glad to tell you, but it's not that simple. Each one of us was responsible for our own part of the research and development. I was a physicist and mostly worked on theoretical calculations. They can have a lot of applications. And what about my father? He was a rocket engineer, like Rocket Man. Is that so, Rocket Man? I drawled. And here I had always thought he built bridges. Bridges. Between two mans. There's one man and another man. And there's no bridge, so he has to build a bridge so they can cross each other's swords. Oh my god. And the main problem is that we knew as little about the work of our departments as was possible. It was their way of preserving secrecy. I only talked to your father about work-related matters and only when it was absolutely necessary. What kind of work-related matters? Nikolai, are you fucking stupid? I'm sorry, guys. I have no words. What kind of work-related matters? Can you just explain it, you? You wouldn't understand. Yes! He sighed. You don't understand. You don't even know what the fuck is Chekists and KGB like in previous episode. Oh my god, guys, like, oh, she's Chekist. No, it's KGB, it's not fucking Chekists. Idiot. Ichinoze-san, I'm neck deep in this shit and I want to get out. I'm not about to back down now. You don't know what you're talking about, Nikolai. Even if I could tell you more, it would greatly endanger you and everyone you hold dear. Everyone you hold dear. Himitsu's tearful face immediately came to my mind. Look at me, Ichinoze grinned. I've been long ready that someone would come for me, so I ran at the first sign of danger. Are you ready to do the same? No, I don't know. He was definitely right about something. And until I figure out what the difference was between a resource and a human, like my father's work wasn't the only question on my agenda tonight. Do you know someone with the surname Winters, an American? Ichinoze thought a moment. Who is that? Who are you connected? Do you know her or not? I've heard the name Winters, but I think it belonged to an adult woman. Mr. and Mrs. Winters, welcome, like in Resident Evil 8. And how is she connected to your project? I don't think so. She has any direct relation to the scientific part of the project, but she could be representing in the American side. American? What American side, Ichinoze-san? A terrible guess struck me. Did you think it was only the Japanese working on the project? I didn't think anything, responded rudely. And does this Mrs. Winters have any connection to the death of my parents? He frowned and looked at me carefully over his glasses. You are talking as if they were killed. Weren't they? Nikolai, He cut himself off mid-sentence, let out a heavy sigh, and lowered his eyes. So what the fuck? Why you call me to the station in the middle of the night to tell me that, oh, I'm sorry, I cannot tell you anything. Like, just like, fuck off. Go live your life? I have no proof, but I suspected that the accident wasn't a coincidence. I couldn't tell you since it was just a guess of mine. That doesn't matter anymore, Ichinoze-san. What about Mrs. Winters? I don't think so, no. But you aren't sure. Nikolai, why are you so interested in this woman? I'm telling you, I've never ever seen her, just heard the name. It's a very personal matter. Well, I hope you know what you're doing. So Catherine's mother was somehow involved in all of this, but she wasn't to blame for my parents' death. That is, if I were to believe Ichinoze, who didn't really know much himself. But how was all this connected to Catherine's note? Did that mean she knew something too? My entire life was a lie, and a theater of the absurd. For sure, finally you realize that. My family matters were no best to everyone but myself. Exactly, you're a fucking peasant, you're a fucking nobody, you didn't do anything good in this life. You're actually doing everything bad. The school, Himitsu, Catherine, like everything. You fuck up everyone and everything. Ichinoze-san, everything is not that. I need time to digest it all. I understand. By the way, he sighed and turned away, clearly bracing himself. I haven't told you everything about Akira Shinji. He's not that. I looked at him with a silent question on my face. At the time, it seemed to me like I was doing the right thing, but not telling you the entire truth. Not to mention, your phone is wiretapped the same as mine. He was taken by people from the corporation. So in a sense, he may as well be dead. And this Akira Shinji? Who was he? Evangelion pilot? The fifth child? Or the sixth one? Or the dummy one? The dummy. The dummy pilot of Evangelion. No, he was a big deal in the project and most likely knew much more than I. Then we need to find him. That won't work. It's Kobayashi Corporation, remember? He could be anywhere. Ichinoze paused, then continued in a lower voice. He may very well not be alive anymore. But then what should we do next? We? He gave me a somehow fatherly look and said, I plan to keep hiding from the corporation, and you better keep far away from it all. So he just warned me just to keep away, you know, just like do whatever. I didn't do anything, this is the thing. This is why it's so stupid from the very beginning of this fucking damn game. From the very beginning we didn't do anything suspicious, we just, you know, hanging out, drinking and did nothing. But now suddenly we are the part of the some fucking evil corporation that tracked down the people in order to collect some intel on some project? We fucking know, but he doesn't know math. He doesn't know shit. I'm pretty sure he cannot even divide 4 by 2 or some shit. Like, that's serious. That's how I treat my character. My character is like fucking moron. Better yet, return to the Union if you can. Yeah, and lose my house, penthouse, lose my Nintendo, like everything, right. And the very close, the collapse of the Union is gonna come and beautiful, like, I can, of course he cannot. I can't abandon Himitsu. It's not fucking Himitsu, it's the country, bro. You fucking raised in Japan, you live most of your life here. You don't remember Union, you don't fucking even know Russian, I'm pretty sure. Not until I was sure that she wasn't involved in any of this. That she wasn't in danger. In that case, I can only remind you to be as careful as possible. I've heard that a little too often lately. Perhaps the corporation will leave you alone when they realize you have nothing to offer. Exactly, I have nothing to offer. After all, you have no direct connection to the project. Ichinoza-san, thank you very much. No need to thank you, I did what was right. We'll meet again? He looked annoyed, but only for a moment. Here. He handed me a small piece of paper with a telephone number written on it. Memorize, then throw away or burn the paper. Anything so long as you don't keep it. This is the phone number of my nephew. You will need to ask if Agawa-san is at home. You'll be told that you got the wrong number, and I'll find a way to get in contact with you. Oh, sorry, I clicked something. Clicked something too fast. Ah, no, everything was good. In contact with you. Ichinoza-san, whatever happens, thank you very much. I bowed deeply. Alright, enough now. He grinned. Be careful on your way home. And then he disappeared into the gloom of the Tokyo waterfront. ... Jeez. The next train home would only come early in the morning, so I found a phone booth and called a taxi. ... The car was making its way through the streets of the sleeping metropolis at a steady pace, and I was trying to digest everything Ichinoza had told me. By the volume of information, the agitation, the lack of sleep made my brain incapable of anything but recalling separate phrases from our conversation over and over again. Each one was important in and of itself, but made no sense when we put together with the others. What is going on? I got out of the taxi several blocks away from my house and returned the same way through the alley and the hole in the fence. Nice, good job. ... I desperately needed to sleep. Those few hours in the afternoon hadn't helped me at all, and I felt totally beat. The house was dark and quiet, and so was the street. This time of night is the most serene and most mysterious at the same time. My inflamed imagination started to project jumping shadows into the corners and rustling noises into the kitchen. Tomorrow will be better, I muttered, my head hidden under the blanket. Okay. Oh, it's the next day already. Damn, thank God I never, proceed to play further. I always I know when to stop, because the days last for hour and a half. Nico-kun! Someone was calling me, sounding as if from another world. Nico-kun! The voice grew louder, more confident. Nico-kun, you need to get up. You said you should. Sad. What did I say? Nico-kun. It's Himitsu, come on. Why are you so sad, baby? I strained and managed to open my eyes only to see Himitsu sitting on my bed. Damn, so many girls sitting in his bed and he do nothing. What's the time? Late enough to not get to school in time. She looked to be in sullen mood and wasn't even trying to hide it. I felt a bit better than yesterday, even though I had just woken up. Good morning. Still, I found it really hard to stand up from my bed. Himitsu remained seated, her head down. Yesterday I decided to stop lying to her, at least when it came to important things. But last night's talk with Ichinoza had posed even more questions. Even if I hadn't found out about this project and the Kobayashi Corporation's dark dealings, I wouldn't still be in danger. But the involvement of Catherine's mother radically altered the situation. Perhaps Katya herself wasn't on it? Do you want breakfast? Himitsu asked. Yes. Arigato. Naturally, some awkwardness and even tension remained between us after yesterday. Himitsu was cooking up something in the kitchen while I was showering, pouring as much cold water over myself as possible. And then I called Himitsu and said, "Baby, it's so cold, I need some warm in my life. I need some warm things to touch me." But no, he still thinks about Ichinoza-san had said that it made the most sense of me to return to the USSR. After all, I still had some relatives there, even if I hadn't spoken to them in a long while. So wait, the relatives were in USSR, that's why he never got deported and never got adopted by the grandparents. Doesn't make any sense. So that means he's a citizen. But I heard this is one of the most complicated countries in the world to get the citizenship. Japanese citizenship. But if the KGB found me in Japan, they would absolutely be able to reach me in the Union. You fucking Einstein, you fucking genius, my friend, finally. Plus, I couldn't simply abandon everything here. Of course, the most important thing is school. You have to go to school that you never go to. But would living in fear in endless anticipation of calamity be any better? For the first time ever, I had a clear realization that there was someone to blame for my parents' death. Some very specific people with names and surnames, positions and bank accounts, maybe even families and children of their own. I could no longer think that it was just an unfortunate accident. No, it had been meticulously planned, and those responsible had no suffer retribution. Except, I wasn't sure I could deliver it alone. The breakfast turned out to be quite meager, not at all Himitsu's style. I was eating, staring at my plate, and she was silently looking at me. "What?" I asked, unable to bear her silent stare anymore. "Nothing, I'm just looking." "Yeah, right. Nico-kun, what are you going to do next?" I found it weird that she said you, not we. Because you're not taking any actions, you're not fucking man. How she can rely on you? She cannot rely on you because you fucking moron, right? Guys, right? It even made me a bit upset. Soon as I finish, we go to school. "You know what I'm talking about." I put the chopsticks aside and sighed. Aside and sighed. We already discussed this yesterday. We'll keep our heads down and attract no attention. "Do you think this is going to end that easily?" I don't know. I don't have much control over it. "Relying on blind chance again?" "What else do you propose we do? If you have any ideas, I'd be happy to hear them." Once again, I was getting worked up and venting my frustration on Himitsu. Come on, it's like typical family arguing. Come on, you guys like wife and husband. You good. It was a foul thing to do, especially after everything that happened between us lately. Sorry, I really didn't mean to say it like that. "It's not the words that matter." Then what? I forced out a smile, but she didn't react. "I thought about it the whole night. We need to talk to someone, ask for help." Perhaps she was right. No, she's not right. But for some reason, I still saw the police forces. I still saw the Japanese police force as more or less Kenpitai. The Kenpitai Military Police Corps, also known as the Kenpitai, were the military police arm of the Imperial Japanese Army from 1881 to 1945. It also served as a secret police force. Its motto was the National Gendarmerie of France. Okay, I see. So Nazi, okay. It was obvious to me that they would first and foremost defend the interests of their corporation, not some gaijins. For a capitalist country like Japan, in this particular case, the interests of Kobayashi Corporation were pretty much the interest of the nation itself. Not to mention that Soviet intelligence was involved in this too. Soviet intelligence that had contracted me directly. I doubted the police would spend much effort figuring things out before taking me in as a spy. If only it were that simple. I'm not Japanese, understand? I've talked to the KGB. What would you think in the shoes of the people you want me to talk to? I'm not Japanese? What do you mean? Why, you didn't do anything wrong. What's wrong and who's guilty here depend on your point of view. In Kobayashi Corporation's case, I'm guilty of having the information they believe I have. To the Russians. To the Russians, I'm guilty of living in Japan in the first place and not working for them. Well, and to the Japanese, how you can work for them? You're not a fucking engineer, you fucking nobody. You're not the center of this universe. I'm probably guilty of the same thing as my parents, the same thing that cost them their lives. Nikko-kun, I'm sorry. Are you apologizing for Kobayashi Corporation or Japan in general? No, but they... Who are they? And what would be... What would we accuse them of? Them who? They have neither a name nor a face. And they're individual people who carry out orders are just pawns. They're easily replaceable and can always be written off if there screws up. I'm sorry guys, I'm changing voice because I think that it's Himitsu talks to him. Himitsu grew even sadder. Nikko-kun, I'm scared. Me too. Had I always been so prone to fatalism? Yeah, you need a fatality for sure. After finishing breakfast, we sat there for quite a while, each occupied by their own thoughts. Or perhaps the same thoughts. Well, let's go? Or we'll really be late? Himitsu just nodded, stood up from the table and left for the hallway without clearing away the dishes. How dare that bitch didn't clear the dishes? See, that's why I never say girl that you love her. That's it. Once you say love her, that's it. She stopped doing anything for you. No cooking, no dishes, no fucking housewifing, nothing. That's it. You're done for her. As usual, Tokyo didn't care one bit about the problems of its inhabitants, in general or in particular. Just a couple days ago, it had seemed to me that we were about to get a proper autumn, with rains, cold wind, and chilly air. But for some reason, today was warm and sunny, just like in summer. The weather mocked me, making it clear that my problems didn't concern it one bit. You can't just do that, I exclaimed, not addressing anyone in particular, except maybe the clear blue sky. Nikko-kun? Himitsu stopped and looked into my eyes agitatedly. Listen, how about we try to live like normal... Try to live like normal after all. I thought like live together or something, like live like... I said unexpectedly even to myself. Constantly stewing in our anxiety, waiting for something bad to happen. We just can't live like that. The worst that's happened so far was my conversation with that KGB woman. Not the most pleasant moment of my life, but it wasn't fatal either. What about the note? God, her and that note. I shouldn't have told Himitsu about it in the first place. Yeah, and the note. Just imagine we don't know anything about any of it. That was the case just a week ago. I wasn't sure who I was trying to calm down, her or myself. For the first time today, Himitsu smiled. Alright, I'll do my best. That's the spirit, girl. I grinned. Now we run. I grabbed her by the hand and rushed to school. You were supposed to put her on your shoulder and just dash through the streets of little Tokyo. Nikko-kun, Nikko-kun. It was hard to say if I had convinced Himitsu, but I certainly hadn't convinced myself. The first lesson had already started, but Catherine was yet to show up. I guess I still found it hard to believe that she was connected to the deaths of my parents. Maybe Katya was also a victim in a sense. The only way to figure that out was to talk to her directly. I could probably even tell her about my conversation with Ichinose, without naming names, of course. But to do that, I had to find her. Kuyosoki approached me during the break.
Listen, Nick.
He began hesitantly.
I understand this isn't the best time, and you probably got other stuff on your mind, but I wanted to ask you about something.
Go ahead. A conversation with Kuyosoki would be fun, at least. Really fun.
Himitsu-chan has a friend, Suzuhara.
For some reason, he blushed, his eyes darting around the classroom as if looking for support. Who?
Well, you know.
Kuyosoki leaned to me and whispered, Saya-chan. Oh my god, it's that rocker girl with fucking attitude as a queen of the world? Oh, she got a surname too? I sniffed.
Stop teasing, Nick. It's a matter of life and death.
Wait, let me guess. You want me to introduce you? I was barely holding back laughter. To be honest, I don't think she's your best choice. Try our biology teacher. She's only, what, 70? Oh my god.
I don't want anything like that.
Then why are you asking?
Because...
Kuyosoki seemed to get mad and hissed.
And you call yourself a friend.
Oh, come on! I smiled in good nature and asked, still, how did she manage to catch your eyes? She seems to be as far from you 2D goddesses as they come. Oh yeah, manga goddess, yeah. Plus, I've talked to her a couple of times and think you should know that even Ayavura is more cordial. By the way, Kagome wasn't in class. Previously, I hadn't paid attention to her at all, but for a class rep, she seemed to be skipping a lot. No, really, what do you see in her?
Are you going to keep making fun of me?
You started it. Although maybe Kiyosaki thought Saya was his only option, in that case my words mustn't stuck even more. For many years now he'd seen Himitsu follow me around like a pet, God forgive me, pretty much pampering me. Yeah, God will not forgive you. Himitsu loves you, but you don't love her. But you said that you love her, so you don't love her. Kiyosaki never gave me any reason to believe he was envious, but in a way it was obvious. Any lonely guy would feel the same in his place.
Easy for you to say you've got Himitsu-chan, Catherine's-san.
Oh, Catherine's son, okay. He shouldn't have brought Catherine into this. Why do you think? Who do you think I am? I said coldly. What does Catherine have to do with it? Or do you think we should be in relationship by default because we used to be?
Exactly, used to. He doesn't give you the right to laugh at.
He fell silent and screwed up his face.
Whatever, forget it.
Maybe you and Saya would make a good pair. Sure. One is like otaku, one is a rocker, heavy metal, glam rocker, why not? I turned away from Kiyosaki. With a heavy sigh and his head low, he returned to his desk. Telling Himitsu about this conversation would most likely be a bad idea, although I definitely couldn't be more polite. What do the others think, I wondered? Kiyosaki wasn't the only one who knew we used to be together. They simply weren't letting me forget about it, and now was the worst moment for it. I had more important problems, however, the tugging feeling of longing captured me all with renewed strength. Unfortunately, human emotions work separately from logic, often even in spite of it. They work when you need them least. How could I talk to Catherine when the only thing I was capable of thinking about was my broken heart? What broken heart? You're 17 years old. Jesus God. I cannot read it. It was like trying to eat a kilo of oranges with a citrus allergy. So don't eat oranges if you have a citrus allergy. What a deal. There's no deal in it. Katya didn't come to the second lesson either. Yesterday she had been picked up by a car and today didn't show up in school at all. I was worried about her and couldn't do anything about it. The more I thought about everything that had happened, the more worried I got. It was all the same as then a year and a half ago. At first I had simply been shocked, broken and crushed by her actions. But then came the anger. I blamed Catherine, even hated her. But soon enough, as a typical for me, started to look for reasons myself. No, not like that. I wasn't looking for reasons or trying to calmly analyze the situation. I was simply blaming myself. And now, too, the more I thought, the more I blamed myself specifically. In the end, I couldn't bear it any longer and fled home after my second class. I walked the streets at a measured pace, unable to calm down, as if dragging an incredibly heavy cart of feelings and worries behind me. I was most likely just afraid of what I could learn. Best case scenario, she left for the States. Worst case, ... The dial tone in the receiver grated my ear, but no one was answering. Why did I even think she'd be home? Why are you calling her? Stop fucking calling her. Maybe she was simply taking a walk to sitting cafe, or look, he still wants to talk to Catherine, but he said I love you to Himitsu. Fucking moron. Damn it. I dialed the number I knew by heart again and again, but unalterably the only response I got was a calm, emotionless dial tone. What if she simply didn't want to pick up? That was totally possible. Then I had to go to her. Immediately, now. That I had to go to her, immediately now. I quickly slipped on my sneakers and froze. What about my surveillance? They most likely knew much more about the Winters family than I did, but wouldn't my feverish fluttering arouse my fresh suspicion? On the other hand, why I couldn't just visit a classmate? Stay home, you fucking idiot. You fucking idiot, stay fucking home. Oh my god, I so fucking hate this character, guys. You cannot even imagine. If there will be a choice to kill myself, I will fucking kill myself. Like, seriously. I was attacked by strange apathy. I had no strength to move or make any decisions. Any action seemed pointless. Looking for Catherine, going to her place. Things would either work themselves out or they wouldn't. I was sitting in a stupor for a good half an hour before someone rang the door. Maybe it was Katya. What if she came to me? Oh my god. He loves her so much. I excitedly rushed to open it. It was just Himitsu at my doorstep, and all of my excitement immediately evaporated. How dare you fucking say that you fucking love her? And then literally like 5 minutes later, like, oh my god, how is Katya-chan? How is everything? I wish I could go to Catherine to her place. I have no words. I just fucking have no words. Himitsu, please don't stay with him. Please leave him. I don't know what to do, of course, in this situation, but just leave him. What are you ringing for? I asked gloomily. I don't know. She seemed agitated. So why are you here? Nico-kun. I mean, why aren't you at school? I saw you leave and so I was worried. Alright, let's go inside. That. We walked to my room. Himitsu sat down on my bed not too far from me and asked, did something happen? Why did you leave school? You said yourself we should act normal. Are you saying skipping school isn't normal for me? Yeah, it's normal actually. Nico is right. Finally, he's right. I smirked. Nico-kun, you know what I mean? Of course I knew, god damn it. But I couldn't exactly tell Himitsu that I had spent the entire day thinking about Catherine and went home to call her. Not when we had seemingly just made up. I had a panic attack. I finally came up with an answer. Wanted to be away from other people in a familiar place. And here I was lying to her again. Even if it was to her own good, as I saw it. And how are you feeling now? And how are you feeling now? Judging by her face, she believed me. Perhaps Himitsu simply couldn't imagine I would lie about this. It was about my health, after all. Better. Thank you. Should I bring you something? If you happen upon some whiskey. Okay. Bring me some whiskey, baby. Nico-kun, I'm serious. Yeah, I'm serious too. Everything's fine. Just bring me whiskey. Approached and sat down next to her. Oh, I approached. Okay. I hope they won't punish you for skipping. They could call your home, you know. Oh, so that's why he's skipping school, because he knows that he has no parents. He has no relatives in Japan, so Japanese teachers cannot call his home because he is like alone. Hey. So that's why he has to have a guardian. He has to have a guardian who fucking because he's a fucking schoolboy. He is still in school. Why? They could call you home, you know? Calling mine doesn't exactly do much because, of course, you fucking... It's... The author is idiot of this game. I asked to leave, said I had a stomachache. You've got it nice. You'd have it nice too if you thought about your future even a little. She finally smiled. Well, that's kind of the only thing I've been thinking about lately. Himitsu gave me a questioning look. About whenever I'll have one at all. She covered my hand with hers and leaned her hand against my shoulder. Oh, like that. Like that. Everything will be alright. I don't know. Like, honestly, Himitsu, babe. Nico is such an idiot, you cannot trust him. And to think that just a minute ago my mind was fully occupied by Catherine. That would mean I was cheating on her with Himitsu. Yes, you're cheating. You cheater. Or Himitsu with her. No. No, mentally. Okay, he just added it like mentally. Okay. Because I wanted to say like, we're not going that way. Not in 1987. I suddenly grew scared, as if I seized by a real panic attack. I carefully stood up from the bed and walked across the room. If I learned something new, I'll tell you right away. Alright, she said seriously. Should we eat? Isn't it too early? Aren't you hungry? Not really, maybe later. The only thing I wanted at the most was to be alone with myself. Himitsu kept silent for a while, then said, Nico-kun, you're withdrawing into yourself and hiding something. Do you think that will make everything better? Do you think it'll do you any good? I'm not withdrawing anywhere. Although after a glance into her sad eyes, I couldn't keep lying. Fine. Fine, I am. But I need to, at least for now. Please just understand and don't argue. I can understand. What are you doing to yourself? What am I doing to myself? All this, she responded uncertainly, pursed her lips and turned away. Then I don't understand what you don't understand. Katya-chan, the alcohol, the depression, you slowly killing yourself. Okay, at least somebody told him that. Finally, thank you, and he's only fucking 17 years old. She looked at me with a plea in her eyes. If not for yourself, then at least for me, she added in a whisper. I didn't know how to respond. Of course she was right. There wasn't even any point in arguing. My constant fights with Himitsu, what were they all for? What was trying to achieve? What was it trying to prove it to who? I simply found it hard to acknowledge my own wrongs. Hard to decide on a specific course of action. Hard to make a choice. But if only I was the only one suffering from it. I understand, I do, but now just isn't a good time. I need to deal with this all myself. Otherwise, it's so we can move on with our lives. You say we, but where is us? Has it ever existed? Himitsu wrung her hands in pain and looked ready to burst into tears. I don't want to continue this meaningless argument because I've said everything there is to say. Despite everything, I still behave like a complete asshole. Oh, finally you accepting who you are. To agree with her now was to give up everything familiar. Give up Catherine. Yes, give up her. Fucking forget about her. But I still wouldn't be able to keep my feet in both worlds. When I figured it all out, I felt myself lacking air. When I figure it all out, then what? What'll happen? Will everything return to normal? Was I ready to promise her that, or would it be a lie or false hope that would end up finally breaking Himitsu? I'll figure it all out. For now, I need to be alone to think. Then I'll go. Where? She said hollowly. It seemed that wasn't how Himitsu had wanted this conversation to end. No, I'll go. I want to get some fresh air. As fresh as it could be in Tokyo. I'll be waiting. It's not necessary. Maybe, but I will. Waiting for what? She tried to pretend everything was fine, everything was normal. I felt even more ashamed, but I really couldn't keep lying to both of them. Wait, I probably shouldn't have had this conversation. I should have gone to Catherine right away. Oh, stop saying what I was supposed to do, okay, you little motherfucker? Component, audio-visual, PC, home electronics. Oh, nice. About an hour later, I appeared near her house. I wasn't even sure it was intentional. I felt like I was on autopilot, but I had to do what I had to do. Himitsu probably wouldn't be happy if she knew I was here at the entrance to Catherine's house. I pressed the intercom button. I had to do it twice more before getting a response. Why he fucking went to her? I told you to fucking sit home, do your homework, fuck Himitsu, and just live life. No, he went to Catherine. It's me, we need to talk. There was an unmistakable heavy sigh from the other end of the line, but the door did open. Going up in the elevator, I had no expectation of this ending well. Sure, I could prepare it in advance, but that wasn't like me at all. Hello. Katya greeted me coldly and let me into the apartment. Are you okay? Does it look like I'm not? No, you just haven't been to school today. You're perceptive. We're in the same class. I frowned. If that was sarcasm, it was artless, not like Catherine at all. Oh yes, we are. How unfortunate. She said, phlegmatically. Now that was better. To what do I owe the pleasure? We need to talk. After these words, I realized that I knew what to say and how to say. Thanks for the note. It cost me a few sleepless nights and a bunch of nerves. What are you talking about? Catherine tried to look disinterested, but I quickly noticed that something about her changed. You know what I'm talking about. By the way, thank you for inviting me into your home. I also wanted to ask, where did that notebook on your desk come from? The one with someone else's handwriting. Katya walked to the window, jerked aside the curtain and looked out on the street. She stayed silent for quite a while and internally celebrated, confident at driving her into a corner. Finally, she'd have to tell the truth. Borrowed it from a classmate to copy their work. Catherine finally said in a calm voice, turning to me. There was no surprise in her eyes, no fear, worry, or dread. Only the same weariness and a light flare of arrogance. Aren't you quick? She smirked. What? But, so you aren't trying to hide that you wrote that note? I wasn't exactly going to shout it from the rooftops, but what's there to hide? Everything seems fairly obvious to me. To you? I'm even surprised you only decided to talk about it now. Trust me, me too. Trust me, me too. I'm surprised as well. Is this a joke or something? The fuck is this? How was I supposed to guess? And even if I made an effort to keep myself from completely flying off the handle. Why didn't you just tell me? You couldn't simply talk to me. Everything is simple to you. Wait. Catherine... Oh my god, there's even typos in this fucking text. I was like, Catherine. See, Catherine, the usual one, and the Catherine. Oh my god, no wonder there's so much like stupid words. And I was like, who the fuck wrote it? It's like fucking Tolkien or Shakespeare? Like, what the fuck? And went silent. What are you trying to achieve? You did read the note. Emotions finally prevailed and Katya winced. Maybe you wouldn't have guessed. It took you a while. Katya, this isn't a game. Stop. She was about to flare up, but then didn't. What do you know? Catherine spent... See, here it's right, Catherine. Spent some time deciding how to answer. Not that much. When we returned to Japan on the very first day, I overheard my mother talking on the phone. She was having conversation with someone about you and your parents. And the conversation was heated. It seemed to me like mom was threatened. And you didn't tell me anything about it? Just left a note? A note, Katya? A fucking note with a bunch of mistakes! Stop yelling at me! I laughed in exhaustion. But now I was sure that Ichinoze had been talking about Mrs. Winters yesterday. And you're not at all surprised that you came back to Japan when all this began? This what? I ignored her question. Maybe Catherine really wasn't aware of everything that been happening to me life lately. Not surprised that your mother would talk with someone about my parents, who, do keep in mind, have been dead for a year and a half now. What was I supposed to do? I talked to mom. She said not to get involved, that it's none of my business. But you get involved, you both of two, so Catherine is even more stupid than Nico-kun. Catherine is more stupid than Nico. Who can imagine that? So the smartest person is either Michael or fucking Kuyusoki, who's fucking reading manga and masturbating on the 2D goddess. Jesus. I wonder how this game gonna fucking end. I'm so curious how this game gonna end. You know, I even agree with her. It's not your business. It's my business. Okay, sorry, I'm taking my words back. She's not stupid. He's even more stupid. Most surprisingly, I wasn't angry with her at all. I was sure Catherine was speaking the truth. The note thing? All in all, it was quite like her. But I still wanted to stand my ground to the end. Why should I believe you now? Have I lied to you? In her eyes, I could see a plea of unexpected meekness. I stumbled and continued quieter. Don't try to deflect. Hiding things from me or deceiving me, what's the difference? Someone may very well want to kill me. Katya stood with her back against the wall, her head lowered. Can you tell me what exactly that conversation was about? In as much detail as possible. I only heard that mom said, what does it have to do with his parents? They're long dead. Why should we do it? If you're that interested, work on him yourself. Your mom's got one hell of a job. What did you say, she was a diplomat? Nick, that's all I know, I swear. It seemed like that was the first time she called me by my name since her return. So what am I supposed to do now? Maybe we should go to your mother together? No! Look at her fucking face. Look at her. Oh my god, that's so fucking hilarious. She immediately grew up agitated. Why do you think she's to blame? What if she's also in danger? The thought hadn't crossed my mind. Not that it had any reason to. Plus, I did know Mrs. Winters after all. She absolutely did not give the impression of a person who would be easily intimidated. So what do you actually know about your mother's work? I can't tell you anything you don't already know. If she's connected to something... Catherine stopped, clearly choosing her words carefully. Like that. I don't know anything about that. All I can tell you for sure is that she works at the embassy. I see. Then came a long, painful silence. Maybe you like some tea? Again, the tea. She asked in a tone that made me think of Himitsu. Tea? I laughed. You think this is the right time for tea? It's not even 5 o'clock. Katya smiled. Aside from the whole spy business, for a moment our relationship almost returned to normal. I no longer felt like a second-class citizen, and Catherine had dropped her disgusting arrogance. It wasn't in my character to be led around, much less put up with this sort of attitude. However, the change appeared to be too sudden. We simply didn't know what to talk about next. By the way, I finally found something. Did the car pick you up from school yesterday? Yeah. What gifts? They gave Mom a personal driver. So you're using a diplomatic vehicle for personal gain? What else am I supposed to do? If I've been brought to this country by force again, I should at least indulge myself. Aren't you an opportunist, Miss Winters? Katya laughed, and her laugh even sounded genuine. Are you going to school tomorrow, baby? Already, we're ready together. Nice. Fuck Himitsu. Fuck everyone. The smile immediately disappeared from her face. Nick, do you think we shouldn't have met at all? Maybe then my mother's phone call wouldn't have happened either. That's not what it's about at all. Who knows? After all, life is a series of coincidences. I gave Katya a long look, trying to figure out what she was implying, but her face remained unreadable. So I'll see you tomorrow. Perhaps. She answered ambiguously and went to the hallway to see me off. Oh, no tea, no kisses, okay. We shouldn't have met at all. What was she talking about? I knew the meaning of the words themselves, but I couldn't understand what Catherine meant by them. Was it just an idle remark that our lives couldn't gone differently? I guess that without her my life wouldn't be easier. A statement that she regrets that we met. I was aimlessly wandering the central part of the Tokyo and couldn't think about anything else. The situation with the KGB and Kobayashi Corporation was seemingly more important right now. And so weird that damn know that Catherine's mother. But over and over the words "we shouldn't have met at all" repeated in my head. I guess I just couldn't entirely believe that Katya really didn't want anything to do with me anymore. Night was slowly descending upon the city. It was time to admit that Catherine had become a thing in itself for me, a person I perceived separately from the rest of the world, separately even from the real her. I was of course talking about the vision of Catherine that had formed in my inflamed mind. How many times in the past year and a half I argued with it, begged it, hated it, worshipped it. What was exactly why I was finding it so hard to admit to myself that Katya was just a human being with her own problems and flaws, fears and aspirations, sympathies and anti-sympathies. Or to put in a few words, she wasn't just black and white, wasn't Hegel's absolute. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been a note, wouldn't even have been a conversation between us. However, my feelings towards Catherine weren't my only problem at the moment. For an hour, I'd been feeling like I was being watched. Sure, I had to expect that, had to be ready for it, but I would at least like to know who exactly was watching. The Russians, the Japanese, maybe even the Americans. I picked up my pace and headed home. That. As she had promised, Himitsu was waiting for me inside. Some brew of an unspecified composition stood atop the stove while she herself was sitting at the table reading a book. Nico-kun, what took you so long? Kind of worked out this way. Where have you been? Surprisingly, I was glad to return to these questions, glad to come back home to this dysfunctional form of family. Oh, okay. I was probably just too tired today and wanted some peace and stability. And there was nothing more stable than Himitsu in my life. I was just walking, thinking. But if I told her about my conversation with Catherine, that wouldn't make things any more stable. Even though I had decided not to lie to Himitsu anymore, just for today. Sometimes it helps, you know. It would help you more to talk to people more often. I do. Do you? To who? I talk to you. That wasn't a very convincing statement. To Kuyosoki, to Michael, to Catherine. I lowered my head apologetically and sat across from her. to teachers at school. Luckily, Himitsu didn't react in any way and started to set the table. Dot. Everything turned out to be extraordinarily delicious. I was eating enthusiastically. Oh my god, I bited my tongue trying to pronounce this fucking unnecessary complexity. Himitsu was looking at me with a smile on her face. Walked a lot, worked up an appetite. I said merrily, "Well, finally some good news. What's good about it? Want me to get fat? At least not for the next 10 to 15 years. In 10 to 15 years, he will be what, like 27, 32? If I keep eating like this, Nico-kun!" She laughed. "Tomorrow's already Wednesday." When we finished dinner, Himitsu brewed tea and laid out some candies on the table that seemed to have come out of nowhere. Poliot, Mishkivlisu, and some others. Soviet candies. Imported. Oh. Where did she even get them? There's Russian shop. A gust of cold wind came from the outside. She shivered, and I quickly closed the door. As the kitchen grew warmer, so did my heart from the hot tea, the sweet chocolate, the soft light of the incandescent lamp, and Himitsu's dreamy eyes. It's been a while since we had an evening like this, peaceful and kind. The people watching me would definitely leave this house alone, at least for today. Catherine could wait until tomorrow, and my angst-racked soul could finally get some rest. And all that would be impossible without Himitsu. Not only did she create comfort out herself, not only did she bring peace and order to my life, but she also served as the pillar that supported it all. I could take her attitude, take everything she did for granted, but that didn't change anything. Without Himitsu, my life wouldn't be very different. How different exactly that it did not want to think about it right now. Where did you get these candies? Dad brought them from work. Oh, so she has a full family yet, but they divorced. But they live together. Your dad brought them. Where did he get them? I don't know. What does it matter? Are they tasty? Like in your childhood? To be honest, I didn't even vaguely remember the taste of those candies from my childhood, but I simply had no right to upset Himitsu. Of course, I mean, they're the same candies. It's, well, logical. I can tell when you're not telling the truth. I can tell when you're not telling the truth. Yeah, he's a liar. Well, that didn't work out. Come on, I don't remember what I ate for breakfast and you're asking me about something that happened 10 years ago. Some things you remember for a lifetime. And for me, Soviet candies isn't one of them. If only I were you. What then? You'd write about it in your diary? Maybe you do? I teased. I bet you got an entire section for candies in there. Maybe. What's bad about that? Nothing at all. I hemmed and threw another candy into my mouth. In fact, it's quite cute. You could do with writing some things down too. How do you know I don't? Maybe I've got a dossier on every single one of you. Do you? And what does it say about me? That you like candies and so you'll be fat like a kolobok. Kolobok, bля. Nico-kun. She tried to throw a candy wrapper at me, but halfway through its flight and ended uncontrolled nosedive and crashed. It also says I'm very grateful to you for everything, and that I love you very much. I got too emotional and couldn't stop. Himitsu didn't respond, just looked at me with hopeful eyes. This oppressive silence covered us for a while. I was tense on pins and needles that was supposed to say or do next. Suddenly, the unnatural loud sound of car horn came from the street. And that's it. And we're gonna stop right here. So thank you very much, guys, for watching until the end. I really hope we're gonna finish this game soon, because it's like, bah. Once again, thank you very much for watching until the end. Please join the channel, subscribe on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram. In description will be playlist with this game. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next episode.